Okay, navigators, we have another very bite-sized Daily Digest episode for you today. A couple of updates. One about the Kling AI image and video generation tool. We've talked about the Kling AI tool before, but we have a new feature to cover today that they have called the Motion Brush, which is really awesome. Looks like a lot of fun, and it's going to allow you to basically animate objects and elements of your images using their image to video tool. And the experience, I've already tested it out, and we're going to demo it a little bit in the second half of the episode today. So a little bit of a video-centric episode in the back half. But anyway, the experience is super intuitive and really fun, and I think very effective. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the AI Marketing Navigator. This is your daily compass in the ever-evolving world of AI marketing. Okay, navigators, we have another very bite-sized Daily Digest episode for you today. A couple of updates. One about the Kling AI image and video generation tool. We've talked about the Kling AI tool before, but we have a new feature to cover today that they have called the Motion Brush, which is really awesome. Looks like a lot of fun, and it's going to allow you to basically animate objects and elements of your images using their image to video tool. And the experience, I've already tested it out, and we're going to demo it a little bit in the second half of the episode today. So a little bit of a video-centric episode in the back half. But anyway, the experience is super intuitive and really fun, and I think very effective. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was news from Adobe that they are releasing a web app called the Adobe Content Authenticity. The other thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit of news yesterday from Adobe, that they are releasing a web app called the Adobe Content Authenticity app. And this is an app that creators can use to help protect their images and IP from being used to not only train AI models, but also to verify that they are created by human beings and store some property or proprietary information about the creator of the asset. Okay, so first things first, let's talk a little bit about this content credential or content authenticity web app from Adobe. I guess a little bit of background would be in order. Adobe started something called the Content Attribution Initiative back in 2019 with the goal of addressing the issue of deepfakes and AI manipulated content by promoting transparency and verification methods, digital verification methods. The purpose behind it was to protect and empower creatives and consumers alike with an industry-wide attribution framework that's going to allow everybody to be operating on the same playing field and some sort of standardization in the industry when it comes to identifying the creation source and just the creation trail and history of these image assets. It's already been difficult with the ability to screenshot and take advantage of some of these systems. And it's only going to be more difficult, but more important in the age of AI and Gen AI. So again, the CAI, the Content Authenticity Initiative, was founded with that goal of creating a secure layer of some sort of data or attribution data that's tamper-proof and can't really be tampered with, or if it is tampered with, at least leaves some evidence to the tampering. And the initiative has been, fortunately, joined by several industry leaders, companies like the New York Times and X, or formerly Twitter, although who knows if they're still part of that process under their new management. But Microsoft and others have joined the initiative, which is good. Obviously, we're going to need adoption from every player in the space if there's going to be a standard in the industry that all images and everybody can recognize when using images or importing images into their systems. And so anyway, yesterday's news is a big step forward in that regard. They announced a new free web app that is a big part of this initiative. And I will link to the media post from Adobe in the show notes, so definitely check it out. This is a free web app that is designed to help creators protect and receive attribution for any work that they are creating via these content credentials that are kind of the backbone of the app. The way that these Adobe, that is going to enforce this authenticity and verification are through these content credentials. And they're essentially just metadata that can be assigned or attached to individual pieces of digital content. And that metadata, like most metadata, is going to contain a lot of information about the creator and the context of the image, the trail of the image, the trail of attribution, the hands that it's passed through. Creators are going to be able to apply these content credentials in bulk as well to their collections of images and their galleries and apply it to batches of their work. They also have complete control over at least some custom control over the information that's included in the content credentials. And one of the more interesting and probably important aspects of the app is the AI training opt-out, which is going to allow creators to literally opt out of allowing their content to be used to train any of these generative AI models out there. And obviously, these content credentials are going to work with apps within the Adobe cloud right now. So things like Photoshop and Lightroom and Firefly. That's the other thing that when we've talked about, AI identification or AI verification or things like this, authenticity apps, it's like they only really work in the playground of the company that's building out the infrastructure. And it appears that that's the case right now with this again. And so we need industry standards. We need some sort of platform of that is adopted by all of these big companies, whether it's Adobe or Microsoft or Google, that can identify how this work is being done. I think this still falls short of that, but again, it's a step forward. So let's talk a little bit about the ways in which these credentials are applied. There are a few different methods. Digital fingerprinting is the first, which is basically a technique that involves creating a unique identifier, some piece of data, a number or a string for each piece of content. And this acts like a digital signature, a digital fingerprint, if you would, that says that stays with this piece of content throughout its life cycle. And another is an invisible watermarking feature. This is technology that I believe we've mentioned before on this show, and it's definitely already been implemented in a lot of image galleries and stock images, I believe. And it's basically adding invisible watermarks into the pixels of the content, into the pixels of the image, embedded into the image, that aren't going to be visible to users or the naked eye, but can be detected by software. And it's essentially designed to verify these pieces of content and be resistant to like screen capture or cropping, things like that, which are common methods of getting around typical watermarks that are visible and not digital in nature, which is a big part of what will allow for the prevention of any unattributed use and the verification of the authenticity of this content. And then lastly, all this metadata that's going to be stored with each piece of content is going to be cryptographically signed, adding an additional layer of security that's essentially going to be able to show if anything has been tampered with within the metadata. One of the big questions I have is, okay, what if these creators are using AI generated content? Is that an issue? And they want to be credentialed for the AI gen images that they're making. How exactly does that whole thing work? And apparently this can actually be done if you're using AI to generate images. That's not disallowed by this entire framework or verification or content credential system. You can credential it, and I believe if it's your option still to include the fact that AI was used at some point in the creation of the image in that metadata. I don't know if it's required. I can't really glean that from the information that is posted here, but it's not entirely clear if it's like an AI image detector. I don't believe it's an AI image detector. We've talked a little bit about a straight up software that can just say, hey, oh yeah, this was generated by AI, and what it would actually take to implement something like that, which is incredibly difficult. And of course, it doesn't actually look like that's what this is, but it does look like it's a system for verification and transparency, which is always a good thing. We've talked about AI, like I said, we've talked about a lot of AI identification software, content attribution software before on this show. And it doesn't look like that's going to be going anywhere anytime soon, the need for this attribution. And I think if someone could build that tool, it would be incredibly useful and incredibly popular, especially among the creative community. And obviously, AI generated content isn't going anywhere either. And unfortunately, neither are the bad actors that make this verification and IP protection necessary. So I'm glad to know that Adobe and the tech leaders have at least signed on to this initiative and recognize the need for a shared tool to solve these issues, and are looking for an industry-wide standard, because it's definitely something that will be needed in the future. Like I said, I still don't see this as solving the problem of knowing if an AI image is entirely AI or not, just by scanning it with something like Google Lens or something like that. It seems to me like that is an option to be, like I said, an option that can be included in the metadata. If you're the creator, you can disclose the fact that you have used AI in the creation of this image. But still, this is a step in the right direction as far as transparency and attribution go. So we're always in favor of that here at the AI Marketing Navigator. Okay, moving on. Now I just want to do a quick little demo of the motion brush tool in Kling AI. This is a tool, like I said, that's going to allow you to take an image and use the image to video generator in Kling. And we do, in fact, have an episode on Kling, so go back and check that out as well. But here we can upload an image, and we can select individual elements in that image and tell the AI how we would like these images to move and how it's going to animate that movement for us right here. So this is the part that's a little video heavy. If you're not watching along on video, I will do my best to explain what we're seeing on the screen, but definitely hop into YouTube or check out the video on Spotify when you have a chance. And I won't blame you for tuning out right now if you don't have access. But right now I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and you should see the Kling AI interface with the first test result I used and uploaded into this little tool. So you see, for what we're seeing here is a picture of a little seal, and he's playing with an orange ball. And this was a still photo just with the seal and the ball that I generated using Midjourney. And then I applied some animation to the seal and said ball. And basically it's flying across the air. The seal is kind of whacking it with his fin, all that fun stuff for anybody who's tuning along still who can't see on video. But I'm going to just go ahead and show you how this is done really quickly, really easily, and with pretty impressive results. So let's do a demo of another image here. So I've just gone ahead and uploaded another image that I've created in Midjourney of a golden retriever jumping up to receive or catch a frisbee, playing some frisbee fetch. And so you can upload your image, and then it also gives you the ability to prompt what you're trying to animate within this image. So I'm just going to go ahead and prompt this. 1 second, guys. Okay, so we have our prompt. I'm just simply saying, I want the frisbee to be flying through the air and the dog to be jumping off the ground to retrieve it. And then here we have the all-powerful, all-magical motion brush. And it's so fun, so cool, and I really think it's pretty intuitive, guys. So if you're not watching along on video, we have our image here in a new pop-up panel, and we have all these different areas that we can apply and select or paint into the image and then apply a animation track to, a motion path to. And it gives you the ability to do this to 6 areas. But you can also apply a static area as well, an area that you don't want to be animated and maybe you just want to hold still. So I think I'm going to apply that to like the background of our image here and the woods and the ground, so we can get a decent animation on our frisbee and with our awesome golden retriever here. And then there's also a tool that I would highly recommend using if you're just testing out the feature called auto segmentation here. And this is going to allow you to select automatically the elements that you want to animate without having to paint them in entirely. It's going to auto select or auto find those elements for you. So you can see here now I'm technically animating area 1, and it's selecting the background and the dog, or the dog's tail, or a paw, for instance. So what I think I'll do now is just select static area, and you can get a feel for what that looks like. So you can see now that I'm selecting large portions of the background. I'm just going to apply this static area to these portions. There's a few that didn't get picked up. The ground as well. So I think we're pretty good and pretty static now. I'm going to go ahead and click a little bit more up top. Now let's go ahead and apply some of our area of animation. So area 1 here, I think I'm going to do the frisbee. And there's one little dot that escaped being captured, so I just fill that in as well. So we've selected our frisbee. And then the second thing you do is add your track of motion. So I am going to take my little track pencil here and just draw an arrow straight to the right, heading towards the dog, just like so. There we go. So now we have the frisbee heading right towards the dog's mouth. We're going to animate the dog now, area 2. Let's do the dog's like torso and head. Again, it's kind of dividing the dog into 3 sections, the torso and head, and then a paw and a tail. But that's kind of cool because then we can animate each one individually. So I'm going to go ahead and select this dog, and I'm going to just go straight up with our track for the dog's motion, straight up towards that frisbee where the point is being where they're meeting right there. So we're going to do that, and then let's go ahead and animate the tail. And I think I'm just going to do a little bit of like a twirly back and forth motion, see what that results in. Hopefully it won't be too crazy. And then let's just do the paw for fun. The front paw, we'll have it going like forward and out, and see just how crazy we can get with our result. Okay, so we've selected all of our elements, how we want them to move. We have all our input with our paths and stuff. Now we have some basic settings that we can set, the creativity and the relevance to the prompt, all things that we've seen before in these image generation tools. The mode you want to generate it in, the length. It looks like the motion brush only does 5-second lengths right now. And then the number of generations you want. So we're just going to do one video at this point because it does take a little while to crank these out. Camera movement is disabled here. We're just doing the animation on the elements of the that we want animated. And you do have an option to do a negative prompt, which is something that we've seen in some of these tools as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and generate this, and we're going to see what the result looks like. And we'll get back to you in just a second. Hang on. Okay, and here we have our result, and I'll be honest, I liked the seal result a little bit better. I did a little more minimal animation there, and I think it turned out much nicer. For those of you who aren't watching on video, we start out great with our Frisbee and our dog kind of about to meet. And then the Frisbee quickly turns into like a piece of pizza, or excuse me, a pizza. The dog starts growing some extra body parts and the pizza becomes a hat. You'll have to check it out. So suffice it to say, when you test this out, I would recommend keeping the animations minimal. Again, here we have a nice example of something that works out a lot better, animating our seal and our ball here. Don't try and do too much. Keep it simple for the model, and I think you'll be okay. Okay, so that does it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it or found it useful in any way, please do me a favor and follow on Spotify or subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. A review on top of that would be even more appreciated and is so super helpful to the show. So until next time, and as always, thanks for joining me, and remember to stay curious, stay consistent, and keep navigating forward. Bye.